Imagine a weapon so universally recognized, so synonymous with revolution and conflict, that its silhouette adorns national flags and its name is whispered in every corner of the globe. The AK-47. For decades, it has been the quintessential symbol of Soviet power, communist insurgency, and the struggle against Western influence. Its rugged simplicity, unmatched reliability, and devastating effectiveness have made it the most produced firearm in history, shaping the course of countless conflicts from the Cold War to modern-day insurgencies. But what if I told you that the true origin of this iconic Soviet weapon lies not in the ingenious minds of Russian engineers alone, but in the ashes of Nazi Germany? What if the very concept that birthed the AK-47 was a direct inheritance from the Third Reich, a secret legacy passed from one totalitarian regime to another? This is the story of a profound historical irony, a moral shock that reveals how the most enduring symbol of Soviet military might was in fact born from the very innovations of its greatest enemy. Prepare to uncover the hidden truth behind the AK-47, a weapon whose secret origins challenge everything you thought you knew about its legendary creation. To truly grasp this astonishing connection, we must first understand the state of infantry weaponry before and during the early years of World War II. For centuries, the standard infantry weapon was the bolt-action rifle. Weapons like the German Karabiner 98K, the American M1 Garand, and the Soviet Mosin Nagant were powerful, accurate, and reliable, capable of hitting targets at long ranges. However, their slow rate of fire, typically 10 to 15 rounds per minute, made them ill-suited for the close quarters, rapid-fire engagements that increasingly defined modern combat. The limitations of these traditional rifles became glaringly apparent as the pace and intensity of battles escalated. On the other end of the spectrum were submachine guns, such as the German MP-40, the Soviet PPSH-41, and the American Thompson. These weapons offered a high rate of fire, making them devastating in trench warfare or urban combat, but their pistol-caliber ammunition severely limited their effective range and stopping power beyond 100 meters. Soldiers were forced to choose between long-range precision and close-range volume of fire, leaving a critical gap in the middle ground of combat. As World War II escalated, particularly on the brutal Eastern Front, military strategists on both sides began to realize that the majority of infantry engagements were occurring at intermediate ranges, typically between 100 and 400 meters. Neither the long-range, slow-firing rifle nor the short-range, rapid-firing submachine gun was truly optimized for this crucial combat zone. What was needed was a weapon that combined the best attributes of both: a rifle that could fire a more powerful round than a pistol, but with less recoil than a full-power rifle cartridge, allowing for controllable automatic fire. This was a radical departure from existing weapon classifications, demanding a new approach to ammunition and weapon design. This new class of weapon would need to be relatively lightweight, easy to manufacture, and capable of both accurate semi-automatic fire and suppressive automatic fire. It was a revolutionary concept, one that would redefine infantry combat and give birth to the assault rifle. And it was the Germans, ironically, who were the first to fully realize this vision. The genesis of this revolutionary concept began in Nazi Germany in the late 1930s. German engineers, particularly those at the Henel Company under the direction of Hugo Schmeisser, were experimenting with a new type of ammunition, the 7.92 233mm Kurz, meaning short. This intermediate cartridge was less powerful than a standard rifle round, but significantly more potent than a pistol round. It was the perfect compromise, offering sufficient stopping power at intermediate ranges while producing less recoil, making automatic fire more controllable. This innovative ammunition was the crucial first step. With this new cartridge in hand, the development of a new weapon began in earnest. The project, initially known as the Maschinenkarabiner 42, MKB 42, aimed to create a selective fire rifle that could utilize this intermediate cartridge. The design incorporated innovative manufacturing techniques, particularly the extensive use of stamped metal parts, which dramatically reduced production time and cost compared to traditional machined components. However, the path to production was not smooth. Adolf Hitler, influenced by his own experiences as an infantryman in World War I, was initially skeptical of the concept. He believed in the superiority of long-range, full-power rifles and saw no need for an intermediate weapon. He explicitly forbade further development of the MKB-42, fearing it would dilute the production of existing rifles. This ideological resistance from the highest command threatened to stifle a groundbreaking military innovation before it could even reach the battlefield. In a remarkable act of defiance, German engineers and some high-ranking military officers continued the project in secret, cleverly rebranding it as the Maschinenpistole 43, MP-43, to make it appear as a mere submachine gun, thus circumventing Hitler's direct orders. This clandestine development allowed the weapon to undergo crucial field testing on the Eastern Front, where its effectiveness quickly became undeniable. Soldiers equipped with the MP-43 reported a significant increase in combat effectiveness, particularly in the close to medium-range engagements that dominated the brutal fighting against the Soviets. The overwhelming positive feedback from the front lines eventually reached Hitler's ears. In 1943, after witnessing a demonstration of the weapon's capabilities, he was reportedly so impressed that he not only lifted his ban, but enthusiastically endorsed its mass production. He even personally coined the term Sturmgewehr, assault rifle, giving the MP-43 its final and most famous designation, the Sturmgewehr 44, or STG-44. This moment marked a paradigm shift in military doctrine, officially recognizing a new class of infantry weapon. The STG-44 was the world's first true assault rifle, combining the firepower of a submachine gun with the range and accuracy of a rifle, all in a relatively compact and manageable package. Its selective fire capability allowed soldiers to switch between precise semi-automatic shots and suppressive automatic fire, giving them unprecedented tactical flexibility. Despite its late introduction into the war and the limited numbers produced due to Allied bombing and material shortages, the STG-44 proved to be a formidable weapon, earning the respect of both German and Allied soldiers. The STG-44's impact on the battlefield, particularly on the Eastern Front, was profound. Soviet soldiers who encountered it quickly recognized its revolutionary nature. Its ability to lay down a high volume of accurate fire at ranges where their own submachine guns were ineffective and their rifles too slow gave German infantry a significant advantage in many engagements. The STG-44 was particularly effective in urban combat and defensive operations, where its suppressive fire could pin down enemy advances and allow German troops to maneuver. This tactical superiority was a stark lesson for the Red Army, highlighting a critical deficiency in their own infantry arsenal. The weapon's design, featuring a detachable box magazine, pistol grip, and adjustable stock, set the ergonomic standard for future assault rifles. Its quick-change barrel system also allowed for sustained automatic fire, a crucial feature for a machine gun, but revolutionary for a standard infantry rifle. The STG-44 was not just a new weapon, it was a new concept of infantry combat, one that prioritized overwhelming firepower at the most common engagement ranges. As World War II drew to a close, Soviet forces swept through Eastern Europe, capturing vast amounts of German military equipment, factories, and, crucially, technical documentation. Among the captured treasures were thousands of STG-44s and detailed blueprints for their production. Soviet engineers and weapons designers meticulously studied these revolutionary German designs. They were particularly fascinated by the intermediate cartridge concept and the STG-44's selective fire capability, recognizing that this was the future of infantry weaponry. This acquisition of German technology was a pivotal moment for Soviet arms development. One of the key figures in this post-war analysis was a young, self-taught tank mechanic named Mikhail Kalashnikov. Kalashnikov had been working on his own rifle design since 1943, driven by the need for a reliable, simple weapon for the Soviet soldier. He was already familiar with the concept of an intermediate cartridge, as the Soviets had developed their own 7.62 39mm round in 1943. Coincidentally, around the same time the STG-44 was being perfected. Kalashnikov and his team, working at the Izhevsk machine building plant, meticulously examined the captured STG-44s. While the AK-47 is not a direct copy of the STG-44, their internal mechanisms are distinct. The influence of the German design on Kalashnikov's thinking is undeniable. The STG-44 provided a proven blueprint for the concept of an assault rifle: an intermediate cartridge, selective fire, a detachable box magazine, and a design optimized for mass production using stamped metal components. This conceptual framework was the critical inheritance. More importantly, Kalashnikov embraced the German philosophy of prioritizing reliability, simplicity, and ease of manufacture over absolute precision. He understood that for the vast, often poorly trained Soviet army, a weapon that worked flawlessly in any condition was far more valuable than a complex, highly accurate rifle. This pragmatic approach would define the AK-47. The result of Kalashnikov's work, heavily informed by the STG-44's pioneering design, was the Avtomat Kalashnikova model of 1947, or AK-47. It was a masterpiece of engineering simplicity and rugged reliability. While the STG-44 was a complex weapon to produce, even with its stamped parts, Kalashnikov refined the design, making the AK-47 even simpler, more robust, and incredibly tolerant of dirt, mud, and neglect. Its long-stroke gas piston system, large operating clearances, and robust construction made it virtually indestructible in the field. The 7.62 39mm intermediate cartridge, combined with its selective fire capability, gave the Soviet soldier the overwhelming firepower needed for modern combat. The AK-47 was quickly adopted by the Soviet army and rapidly became the standard infantry weapon for the entire Warsaw Pact. Its ease of manufacture meant it could be produced in vast numbers, and its simplicity meant it could be maintained and operated by soldiers with minimal training. The AK-47's global proliferation during the Cold War cemented its status as an icon. The Soviet Union supplied millions of these rifles to communist allies, revolutionary movements, and proxy forces around the world. From the jungles of Vietnam to the deserts of Africa, the AK-47 became the weapon of choice for anyone fighting against Western-backed governments or colonial powers. Its low cost, ease of use, and legendary reliability made it perfectly suited for guerrilla warfare and low-intensity conflicts. It was a weapon that could be dropped in the mud, run over by a truck, and still fire reliably. This widespread distribution, directly enabled by the design principles first proven by the STG-44, ensured that the AK-47 would become the most produced and widely used firearm in history, with estimates ranging from 75 million to over 100 million units manufactured worldwide. Its influence on global conflict and geopolitics is simply immeasurable. The moral shock of the AK-47's origins is a powerful reminder of the interconnectedness of military innovation, even between bitter enemies. The very weapon that became the symbol of Soviet and communist power owes its fundamental conceptual framework to the engineers of Nazi Germany. It highlights how technological advancements, once unleashed, transcend political ideologies and national borders, becoming tools that shape the future in unforeseen ways. This historical irony forces us to reconsider simplistic narratives of technological development. The STG-44, born from desperation and ingenuity in a collapsing regime, laid the groundwork for the assault rifle concept, a concept that Kalashnikov masterfully refined and perfected. Without the STG-44's pioneering intermediate cartridge and selective fire design, the AK-47 as we know it might never have existed, or at least would have taken a very different form. This historical lineage forces us to confront the complex and often uncomfortable truths of technological evolution in wartime. If this astonishing revelation about the AK-47's secret origins has shocked and intrigued you, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Did you know about the STG-44's direct influence on the AK-47? What do you think about this moral shock of history? We'd love to hear your perspective on this fascinating connection between two seemingly opposing military legacies. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more incredible secrets of war and untold stories from military history that challenge conventional narratives. Ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode, because we're constantly uncovering the hidden truths behind the weapons, strategies, and events that shaped our world. There are so many more historical revelations waiting to be discovered, and we're committed to bringing them to light. Join us as we continue to explore the complex tapestry of human history, one fascinating secret at a time.